Okay, so let's start building our first formula. Now to build the formula, we need to understand, or we need to tell Excel that, hey, we are giving a formula and we want you to find, do one calculation for that. Okay, now how do you make Excel understand that you are going to enter a formula? Now for that, you have to give equal to sign. Now when you give equal to sign, it lets Excel know that you are trying to enter a formula. Okay, so that's the first step. So from basic to intermediate to advanced, in all these levels of formulas that you have in Excel, you have to start with equal to sign. This is very, very important. Okay, now after you give equal to, so let's say we want to find, we want to add all these values. Okay, so you give equal to 99, then plus 141 plus 249 plus 106 plus 279 plus 299, and after that you can give an enter, you can hit enter, you get 1173. But what if these values extended till more rows? Okay, so in that case you can definitely not go about doing it in this way, right? Or for what happens, like for the monk who sold his Ferrari, you want that price of this to change from 149 or from 141 to say 144, right? You change this value, right? Oops, did the value change here? No. Why? Because when you are giving Excel in this way, you are not saying that it will carry these values of these cells, right? So in order for Excel to understand that, you have to give a reference of that cell. And how do you give that? You give that by I'm deleting this. Okay, so you give it by D4. Okay, so you just click that. Okay, D4, then plus you give the next one D5 plus D6 plus D7 plus D8 plus D9, and then you hit the enter. Okay, you get 1173. Now see, if I change this 141 to 144, see what happens. It changes to 1176. So what happens when you use the cell references here, whatever value you change in these cells, your Excel communicates that value and it calculates that new value for you. Okay, and in Excel it's very interesting, after the 2000 version of Excel, you will get these colors and it denotes like what color you are actually what each cell refers to. So blue refers to the first one, then red, and so on. Okay, so I changed this value back to again 141 and I hit the tab and see 1173, right? But again, this is very cumbersome. Again, if there are less values, then it is fine. You can use it in this way. But what if the values are huge? So in that scenario, you need to not give it in this way. You have to use the basic formula of sum, SUM, and then you give the first bracket, and then you have to give the arguments. So these are the arguments. So you give this first value. Okay, and then you can give a colon, and then you can give your last value that you have, right? And then you enter the closing bracket. There you go, 1173. Okay, now the power of this particular method is very, very much, so you are actually telling Excel that, hey, please find the sum from D4 reference to D9 reference. Now if you want to remove that, so if you want to say like take till only D8, you can just use your cursor and move little the cell before it, and you can take it to D8 and then press enter. You would get the value there. Okay, so this is how you actually create a very, very simple formula. Okay, and you can use any of the operators here. Not only you can give plus or minus. Okay, so this is for sum, so you can have the same thing. You can find different other functions in mathematics. Okay, now I would want you to find the values in the similar way if you can do for site 2 and site 3. Okay, and comment below and tell me the answers, how you have approached or what was your approach. So now I want you to comment below and write what would be the values if you want to add these up, okay, for site 2 and site 3, and let me know what answers you are getting. Okay, now let's now look at the structure of the formula. Okay, so now for the formula I jump in here. So for the basic formula of an Excel, as I said, it starts with equal to, and then it gives the function name, and then it carries the arguments inside the function. Okay, now these arguments either they are, some of them are optional, or some of them are mandatory, or in some cases the functions do not need any arguments, like the row and column function. So we will come to that later on, but as of now you can just know that a function name or a function can have arguments in it. Okay, so the first one here, I have taken the left function. Okay, and you can see this text. So text is a required field, and it will carry the string with the characters that you want to extract. Okay, so and the next argument that you have here is num cars. So that is an optional field, so you don't need to provide a value for num cars. And what it does is it actually specifies the number of characters you want this left function to extract. Okay, so this is kind of a little bit complex function. Okay, so let's see how it goes about with a practical example. I am in this particular worksheet. Now in this worksheet, what I have is I have the employee IDs, the current location, the names of employees, then I want to find the state code of the employees, say, and the email IDs, and I want to also find the user ID. Now how do I use, or how do I get these values using the left function? Okay, now to do that, the state code, let's say it is the first two characters of the employee ID. Okay, so in this the first one, the 07 is the state code. Okay, so how do you go about writing it? So you have to give equal to, as I said, and then you give the left function. Okay, and then bracket, and then it tells Excel, like, okay, so Excel actually tells you that what arguments you have to fill, right? Text and num cars. So in this case, what is the value? So this is the value, this is the cell reference I want, so I give A2, and then I give comma, and then I have to give the num cars, so which is which two characters I want it to extract. So I want the first two characters, so I give 2. Okay, and then I hit the closing bracket and enter. Okay, so it gives me 07. Okay, now why did I give 2? Because I wanted the first two characters. So if I wanted the first 3 characters, then I would have given here 3, and then I would have hit enter, and I would have got 073. Okay, so I'm deleting that, and I'm writing here 2 again. Okay, enter. Okay, now for all these values, so I have another 10 to 11 rows, right? Now I do not want to go ahead doing all these one by one. So what is the better way of doing it? You find a dot here, right? So you just take your cursor there and double click it, and Excel will fill up and update all the values for these. Okay, so it takes for all these values. Okay, now notice one thing. So here it was A22. If I move the cursor and go to the next cell, you would find here it is A32, right? And then the next one is A42, the next one is A52. So it is going on changing the values as it goes down. Okay, so I will come to cell references in detail, okay, in another video. Next, let's go to the user ID and let's try to fetch the user ID. It will be a bit more complex than the one which I use for the state code. Now here what you have to give is, again, start with equal to, then you give left, and then bracket, and then what is the text that you have. So this is the text, so I give E2, then comma, and then I will write a function within a function, and this function would be search function. Okay, so search, then opening bracket, then double quotes, and then I have to give this at the rate, then closing the at the rate, comma, and then where will I search? I will search in E2, so it will be again E2 here, and I will close the bracket. Now see here, when you have a specific characters to be retrieved, then you were using, like in this case when I was here, I was using A2 comma, I was giving 2, so I knew that I had to extract the first two columns or first two characters. Okay, but when you have variable, so in this case, you don't know exactly how many. For the first case it might be say 7 characters, that is fine, but for the second one it might not be 7, right? So in that case you have to use this way of finding the characters dynamically. So in this case, after I have given the search, then it will be -1 because I want it to find the values before at the rate. Okay, and then I close the bracket, I hit enter, so you get the username. Okay, now again I just double click that and I get all the usernames here. So notice one thing here, all these are variables, this is say 4 plus 3, that is 7, and then this is say 4 plus 2, right? So that is 6, and then you also have the dot, so dot is also a character, right? So those are all different characters that you have in this. So in that case you have to write it in say this way. Now this is a bit complex, so don't worry about this function because we will come to those later on, we'll handle it later on. But my objective here was to show you how to build a function, and within a function what are those arguments and how to give the values of those arguments. Now, as I promised at the start of the video, I will give you a tip. So the tip here is, like for any function, when you are writing a function, it will always give you the tooltip. Okay, so if you noticed when I was writing say a function, say for example I was writing this, okay, so I was writing equal to, then as soon as I entered left, okay, so see what it gives. First it says here, like what the left function does, returns the specified number of characters from the start of a text string. Okay, it tells the function what it does, describes, and then as soon as you hit the first bracket, it gives you text comma numchar. So it tells you exactly what values or arguments you have to give. Okay, so that is a very, very useful thing, and I am always using that because it's not always that you will remember the function or the syntax of each functions in Excel, because there are hundreds of functions. So once you utilize this tooltip, it will be very, very useful for your activities. Now, in case you understood the way you did this, I would suggest that you can do another piece. Instead of the email ID, why don't you use a phone number and try to get the code out of that, maybe the area code. Okay, so try to do that, and please comment below and let me know how you actually used this function within a function. If you liked my video, please subscribe to my channel, give a big thumbs up, and also comment below if you want me to create more videos in Excel and on any other specific topics you want. I will definitely create the videos, but for that I need your support. Please subscribe to my